Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon of visiting teachers and students from Tabaka Girls Primary and Junior School in Kisii County. The delegation comprises 33 teachers and 168 students who are in the Senate for a one-day academic exposition. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming guests to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate, on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I will call upon the Senator for Kisii County under 1 minute to extend a word of welcome, and also Senator Esi Okenyuri, also under 1 minute to extend the word of welcome. Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving me the opportunity to recognize the presence of Tabaka Girls Boarding School. Mr. Speaker, Tabaka Girls Boarding School is a Catholic school which comes from the constituency of South Mugirango. Historically, Tabaka has been a school of excellence in Kisii. They also do have a very big hospital in the same Tabaka place, and it's basically within the family of the Catholic Church. And girls, I wish you well. I'm happy that you're here. Mr. Speaker, where I'm standing, I'm not able to lift my head so that they can see me, but I'm sure they can hear my voice. I welcome you to this Senate. It's a place where you come and learn everything, and I'm happy that you've come here today. Now, Mr. Speaker, once mukishamaliza, I'll buy you a cup of tea. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I will welcome another leader in our delegation from Kisii County, a lady called Esi Okenyuri. You know her? Very, very, very highly talented and gifted lady. Esi, could you please say a few? Thank you.
Thank you, my senior Senator Onyonka. Mr. Speaker, I also wish to take this opportunity to welcome the girls to Senate under the stewardship of Sister Lillian. I also saw one of my colleagues in campus, that's Mr. Arthur Bells, a teacher in that school. Mr. Speaker, Tabaka, where this school is situated, actually has one of Kenya's strategic minerals, soapstone. So apart from that, they're also bringing up girls who are engaging in quality education. And because of whatever the girls are doing, even before they came in, he had an opportunity to engage them out there through Esi Okenyuri Nyaituga Foundation, and I gifted them. I wish you the very best, girls, as you go back. You can dream and go beyond what we are now. Thank you very much.
Next order.
Order number 13, motion. Report of the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights on its consideration of the sessional paper number 3 of 2023 on the Kenya policy on public participation.
Chair Jailak.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights on its consideration of the sessional paper number 3 of 2023 on the Kenya policy on public participation laid on the table of the Senate on Wednesday, 14th of May, 2025, and approved sessional paper number 3 of 2023 on the Kenya policy on public participation. Mr. Speaker, briefly, this is a policy that was published in the year 2023 and tabled in the House on 25th of April 2024. It was thereafter committed to the Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs for its consideration, which, upon various engagements with stakeholders, efforts have been made by the government, that is through the executive, and also to formulate suitable frameworks for purposes of ensuring that public participation is done. Mr. Speaker, in the course of this particular engagement by the committee, there are several areas which were identified as very specific and particular policy areas, which included areas of particular concern that highlighted the concerns which have been raised by members of the public, as well as pronouncements that have come from various courts, including the case that we got from Kiambu County that has sort of directed most of the public participation engagements. That particular matter is one of the cases that the committee engaged with in coming up with these various areas which we picked for purposes of consideration and which fed into our resolution, Mr. Speaker, gaps which were identified by the matters which have been litigated in various court sessions, the challenges which were also requiring various improvements, and largely, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that we entrench directions and options available to make sure that there is meaningful public participation by the public in areas of interest. Mr. Speaker, this particular policy was also brought about by various bills that has previously been tabled before this House. I recall in the course of our participation in dealing with the petition, with the policy, Mr. Speaker, were around 3 bills which have been tabled before this House. One of the bills was tabled, I believe, by the Attorney General Emeritus. And unfortunately, those bills have never garnered the requisite numbers for purposes of passage in the 2 houses. But with this particular report, Mr. Speaker, we have engaged both executive as well as other major stakeholders, and we believe that this meaningful engagement will give a guide on how to draft a relevant involving bill by the Office of the Attorney General for purposes of tabling it in the House to ensure that it meets the standards that the courts have pronounced themselves in the matters litigated before it. And Mr. Speaker, the report by the committee will definitely inform the bill that will be drafted, because the recommendation that the committee has made is to direct the Office of the Attorney General to come up with a draft bill for purposes of engaging the public as well as the legislature on ultimately enacting that bill. Mr. Speaker, as I move, I want to request Senator Veronica Maina to second this bill and urge members to support the moment that draft bill gets to the floor of the House for engagement and ultimate passage. I urge all the members to support. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity, and I beg to second the report that has been moved in on the floor of this House. Mr. Speaker, the report that has been brought to the House is an approval by JLAC that the Kenya policy on public participation should be allowed to proceed through the lawmaking process to make a legal framework for public participation. The policy reaffirms the government's commitment to exercise effective public participation strengthened by national legal framework. Mr. Speaker, it bestows upon the state and mandates the state to give the public access to information and also to provide a civic education framework for coordination and for enabling all actors to give quality civic education, and to also give capacity building and undertake coordinated and integrated capacity building towards empowering responsible citizens and public institutions. It also promotes effective public participation in planning, budgeting, and implementation of approved plans and budgets, and inclusion of marginalized groups, including children, women, minorities, at all levels of governance. Honorable Speaker, this policy is going to finally show us what is the right way of conducting public participation. If you notice, Mr. Speaker, a lot of laws that have been enacted in this parliament have been negated, or they have been rendered null because of poor public participation. Now, with this framework, Honorable Speaker, it will settle a few issues that have moved against the enactment of bills, or that have caused bills to be rendered nugatory. And it is going to now make it clear, Honorable Speaker, that when quality public participation is conducted before any bill is passed, then it will pass the test of being acceptable even to the citizens upon which such law will be applied. And only yesterday, Honorable Speaker, I was put to task by a certain group of people who live in Lavington and they needed us to explain how they participated in a public participation, and yet there were certain things that happened that they did not anticipate, because they said all the residents that sat in a certain public participation had rejected the zoning of petrol stations within the residential areas in Lavington, Honorable Speaker. I believe after the passing of this framework and this policy being approved, it is going to settle the parameters within which the contribution from the public on issues that affect them are going to be determined, so that if residents reject a certain project or reject something that is being done within their vicinity, Honorable Speaker, we will now have proper parameters that you govern whether that rejection, what is the threshold that that rejection should be accepted, so that the project cannot be applied when citizens have said they do not want to have that project in their area, or if their area is being rezoned. For instance, if factories are being set within a residential area, the residents can actually indicate to the public entity that is conducting that public participation, Honorable Speaker, that they are not interested in that project, Honorable Speaker. It is also going to indicate, hopefully, who should participate in that public participation. For instance, Honorable Speaker, is it right for a public officer or a political leader to call in workers who are working within their offices, or family, or friends, or relatives, fill a room and purport to have conducted public participation on a specific aspect? All these issues will now be settled, and it will be easier to determine whether what has been conducted as public participation can be acceptable and would pass the constitutional test or threshold of being able to determine the issues that are being determined or by the public or by the public entity. It puts the duty on both the public entity and also the citizens. No longer will citizens purport also not to be aware that certain projects are being carried out or decisions are being made which will affect their socio, economic, political rights. And maybe, Honorable Speaker, if this policy had been passed before the 25th of June, maybe we would not have riots or demonstrations on the streets, because citizens will have participated in decisions that are informing legislation and that are informing policy within the public sector. So, Honorable Speaker, with those many remarks, I affirm and support the report that has been brought to this House, and I beg to second this report. Thank you.
Honorable Senators, will now proceed to propose the question that the Senate adopt the report of the Standing Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs and Human Rights on its consideration of the sessional paper number 3 of 2023 on the Kenya policy on public participation, laid on the table of the Senate on Wednesday, 14th of May 2025, and approve sessional paper number 3 of 2023 on the Kenya policy on public participation. Again, bound by our earlier resolution, I'll proceed to put the question. That the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs and Human Rights on its consideration of the sessional paper number 3 of 2023 on the Kenya policy on public participation, laid on the table of the Senate on Wednesday, 14th May 2025, and approve sessional paper number 3 of 2023 on the Kenya policy on public